Yeah, but then the armed response police sergeant comes walking over to you and says, "Why are we here?" And you have to tell them that basically because they're scared that I'm going to attempt to arrest them for abuse of public office. Because if they claim that no, they're not in public office, because if they are claiming public office, they're answerable to me and they do not get jurisdiction. But if they're not claiming public office, if they're claiming private, that's completely different. That's offering of a service. So whichever way they go, they're wrong. It's completely transparent.
Well, you've entrapped them.
If you claim that you've got authority over me, show me a proof of claim. Am I your slave, or have I got a contract with you for something? Because if you haven't, you have no authority over me, because only God, Creator, consciousness, Allah, whatever you want to call what you believe in. But the Creator, then you, then the judge, then solicitors. That's the hierarchy.
So can't they just say, yes, you are a slave?
Well, then they'd be admitting to slavery. Surely that would prick up a few ears. Surely some people...
Is slavery illegal?
No, it's not. It's not illegal. It's unlawful.
Well, then they could just tell you you're a slave and it's legal, so, pay us the money, slave.
They could, but they're talking to your company, they're talking to your corporation. And that's totally different to the man. So if you define yourself clearly as man from Creator, whatever it is you want to call that, nobody has higher authority other than God. Nobody has higher authority because it's natural law, it's common law, common sense.
But what about a judge with a God complex? Would that count?
Yeah, it would, because he's the type of arsehole that I've come into contact with who turned the European Convention of Human Rights over. He decided he could ignore that. Now, that along with case law would be like me going up to a devout Catholic priest, giving him the Bible and him not bothering him to read it and then say, I think what God meant to say was, because I've never been that confident. I'm quite confident about this stuff, even though I learn something new every day that maybe takes a piece out of the puzzle that looked like it fitted there, and then something else comes in and joins it even stronger, it looks even better. And it's all about aggregating information. It's not about, I found out what's going on, it is this, it's this and this, and I'm right. That's not what this is about. This is about people all not proving each other wrong, not shooting people down, not arguing with each other. I mean, there's stuff that I've seen all over the internet, Vinny, and people are all trying to get to the same ends, but he's criticised my work and he's tried to set me up as a fraud or anything like that. You've got all these people who are meant to be doing podcasts and blogs and putting up websites and on Facebook, and they're meant to be promoting something, yet they're arguing within groups. And you know that provocateurs go in there, of course they do. But the fact is, anybody who wants to argue with you about something, I mean, I had a debate with a guy who is ex-police. He's been very successful at bringing, at least getting a crime number and an investigation going into history, crimes in history. And he couldn't see the difference of talking about a person and a child, that children couldn't be classed as property because of Edward the Confessor or something like that. But it quite clearly states that if you refer to your offspring, or whatever they want to call it, as a child, you're claiming a person, therefore you're claiming an entity, a corporation, and you're in that jurisdiction. So what you're doing is, you are now in civil jurisdiction, talking about your person, your company, in civil procedure rules, and they're going to railroad you, they're going to do you.
Well, it's not entirely dissimilar from how this new, what was it called, the TPPA, the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement, big trade deal that's going now around the Pacific Rim. It works like that. If you have any grievance, any company, private, has any grievance against the government, let's say the government passes a law banning smoking or something like that, the tobacco companies can then take the country to the World Court, which the corporations control, and get a judgment that they want. And it's basically just a larger version of what you're describing here on the civil plane, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's what you're talking about. In comparison, my claim, I mean, if you take away the physical, mental and emotional aspects of it, and you just look at the bare bones of the business aspect of it, mine is nothing. You know, 98,000, 100,000, 60,000 is nothing compared to what you're talking about. You're talking about taking a country to the World Court. If they've got smart enough lawyers that have sifted through all that legislation and gone, hey, look at this, bang, 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 we can get this country on this. It'll cost us so much to make the application and go for it. This is the forecast of how, because I don't know if you ever noticed that things go before certain boards, and it's got to be, in some boards, it's got to be over 60%. Like a barrister would like to say, right, that's over 60%, I'll take that on. If it's not over 60%, they won't even consider it. So if they've got that nailed on and they can take a country to the World Court, and they control that World Court, then it's just about a transference of wealth. Yeah. It's not about a fine, it's not about anything else, it's a transference of wealth. You owe me this, this and this, I'll tell you what, we'll give you a bit of that. You know, it's all jobs for the boys. It's not all about Freemasonry, because I know a lot of really good, genuine Freemasons, and they're not in it for anything like what the society has been used for.
Well, and again, this is how the syndicate works. It operates inside Freemasonry, it operates inside the courts, inside the police, inside the politics. Not all of them are Freemasons, not all of them are cops, not all of them are politicians, but they have a select few throughout all of these organisations, usually in positions of power and influence, who can, if necessary, move things along in the syndicate's best interests.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happened at this point. You've had one judge who's basically, we feel that the judiciary system has had a message put out to it that let none of these bastards win, not one of them. You know, not me, not anybody. Don't let them win at any cost. At any costs. So you have got people who are claiming to be a judge with authority, therefore acting in public office over you, and they are turning case law over, and they are turning European Convention of Human Rights over without evidencing any authority and making orders that they are telling you that you're liable for. Well, how can you defend that?
Well, they've also got the ability of, shall we say, endless hurdles. You know, you ever heard of the expression shifting the goalposts? And
all the time.
I recall seeing a film not too long ago called North Country. It was about the woman who led the first class action lawsuit for sexual harassment in American history that wound up actually changing the whole world and having sexual harassment in employment contracts for the first time. And it turns out that this happened in like the early 80s or something. Yeah. And they only just got a settlement in like the late 90s or early 2000s or something. So even something that's already had a film made about it or something of that nature hasn't even been yet rendered judgment. They're that capable of throwing delays and hurdles in your way. They can conceivably keep you from the truth and justice and victory forever, depending on how much they're willing to throw at you.
Well, basically, what you want to look at it is, if you imagine when you're going through life, and obviously you'd want everything that was true, you would want to know what was true and what wasn't true. So as long as you're following that mechanism of truth, you can't go wrong with it. But the trouble is, these people have had these goalposts moving so fast for so long. It's like when you look at something, so you put your argument down and you're looking at something in your argument. This is why when people put, like I did when I first started putting documents in, I put like 17-page dossiers in like that, telling them everything by what colour my kitchen sink was. And I gave my case away because they just went, no, don't need to look at that. No, doesn't mean anything. We're talking about trustees of land. No, trustees of land doesn't mean anything because it doesn't apply to me. It's their business, it's their negotiations. I didn't want to take part in it. They insisted I must. Because why? Because they claim jurisdiction. Well, evidence it. Well, no, we don't have to. That's basically what they're saying. So, Vinny, I could take you to court and say he owes me £1,000. I've got a witness called Dave from down the pub who witnessed me give him that £1,000. But Dave's not given me any statement, any signed affidavit, and he isn't allowed to come into court so you can actually cross-examine him as to where this happened. It is just taken for granted that you owe me £1,000. Would you call that justice?
I don't think so.
There you go. That's exactly how they're doing it. Now, like I said, not every hearing is corrupt. Could there be corrupt people at every hearing? Of course, there could be corrupt people anywhere where you
Yeah,
live.
but if you get suspicious and paranoid of absolutely everybody, you'll soon find yourself without any friends or allies.
Yes, certainly. But it's like I said, that the system worked perfect. If me and you have a genuine dispute over a property, and me and you just say, let's cut our losses, pal, we'll put it up for sale and split whatever it is. That's how the system's meant to work.
Yeah.
But people are being tricked into the system because you don't know what to say in that court, because everything that you're saying is telling them is civil. You're just shouting civil law, civil law, civil law. That's all they're hearing with all the words that they're picking out. The Carl Lentz stuff, it seems to be an opportunity to try and bypass that and take it straight back to common law, whereas you evidence your authority over me. You've ignored case law. You've ignored the European Convention of Human Rights. You're entitled to fair compensation for your injury. If somebody has stolen your property, that's breach of Section 1, 2, A, B and C of the Fraud Act 2006 and Section 1 of the Theft Act 1968. They've committed fraud. They've taken property that they were entitled to. They've sold it. Who's in trouble? You're in trouble now. Guess what? We're going to run and keep you. We're just going to keep you out of court so you can't prove it. Nobody will be able to listen to you, so we'll just keeping it out of court. And that's like what you just said. It's taken all those years, even though it's a well-known fact that this sexual harassment thing, it's because they can dance around in the system. See, the sexual harassment it's a physical assault. So it's common law. If hands have been put on, that's a criminal effort. But they're being tied up because she's got a solicitor. They're being tied up in that litigation system. You know, everybody remembers the circus that was the O.J. Simpson trial. You know, that was absolutely ridiculous. I mean, how anybody, with the evidence that was against him, I have absolutely no idea how they got through that, other than a great lawyers team that dissected every single mistake or made every single mistake look huge to the jury. How he got off with that and then get found guilty on a civil suit, that's very strange. So it looks like it to me, it seems to suit people as and when. If you're going to go into a civil system, the more money you have, the better lawyers you're going to get.
Yeah.
You know,
and your lawyers might be part of the syndicate.
And I've had solicitors sit in here and tell me that they've been involved in being a solicitor for 25 years, and my argument is wrong. I also sat with a solicitor for an hour who couldn't grasp what I was saying until I explained it in a little bit looser terms, that your consent is needed in this setting. And I don't know if I told you the story last time about if there's a sign on the wall that says no spitting, and there's a policeman stood next to it. I said to the solicitor, if I spit on the floor, is he going to arrest me? No, it's not an arrestable offence. I went, oh, okay, then how does he find me? He's going to ask me for my name and address. And once I give him that name and address, then I'm saying, yes, I accept that chance of a fine. What are you going to do, sir? Are you going to make me clean it up, or let me off, or give me a stern warning? But I've already set myself up for that fine there and then. But I said to the solicitor, am I obliged to give him my details if I haven't committed a crime? And he said no. So how does he find me? He can't find you. It's about how he talks to you, how he extracts information. I've just seen I'm sure I've just seen an article that school teachers are going to get, or school board members, I couldn't quite remember off the top of my head, that they're going to get police interview type training. Now, why would you want a teacher with police interview type training?
Perhaps
It's
if you
only
wanted
for
to get the
extraction
children...
of information.
Perhaps if you wanted to teach the children how to properly behave in a police state run by a tyrannical government.
Oh, you sound like a conspiracy theorist, you do.
I'm just taking a stab in the dark, bro.
I can't disagree with you. Or should I say, in my terminology, I can neither confirm nor deny that allegation. But the weight of evidence, albeit whether they want to call it circumstantial, is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And
I've sort of like it, you know that old term from cradle to grave, the government's supposed to provide from you, from cradle to grave. And what I've started to think is that we've got graduate systems that you're forced into, right? So you go from these schools in elementary school, then you graduate to high school, and then you graduate to another thing at university, then you graduate to higher education with a master's and then a PhD. You graduate to being a doctor or something of that nature, and in some cases you graduate to the prison course, and that's I think what I see the schools turning into now is just a preschool version of a prison. So that when you go into prison, inexorably because you've have some problems with society, because the family unit's been destroyed, you've got no strong role models except for Justin Bieber and Britney Spears, which are not the best, and you wind up going to prison invariably because of all of these social ills that are set against you. And these are things that happen before your birth. You don't even have a freaking choice in them, really. You know, you just get affected by them. You wind up acting the way you do because of your surroundings in a lot of cases. Sometimes people claw their way out of it, but it's extremely unlikely and very, very hard even if they do manage to make it out of it in the first freaking place. So that is what is happening. Every single part of our life is controlled to a large degree to be heading in one direction, into debt serfdom.